Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Elevated Beauty Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Fouts, and today I have a special guest on, Ashley with Babe Cave, who I rent a room from inside of her storefront location. So we're just going to be chatting about her journey in the industry and let you guys get to know her. So if you're interested, as always, just keep listening. All right, guys, this is Ashley. For everybody that might not know her, I rent the room here inside Babe Cave. So first of all, thank you for letting me rent your room. But yeah, how long have we known each other? Like a year?
Yeah, I think well, we started off at Pamper Me Sweets.
Yeah.
So I
Let's
didn't
just tell our story because
yeah.
nobody knows our story of like how we met.
Yes. Okay, so well, I had came right before you to Sierra Vista, but like not too much, what, like 6 months?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So and then I was the esthetician at Pamper Me Sweets, but I focused on lashes. And then there was this like rumor, oh, there's another esthetician coming.
Right.
And I think at the time you did offer lashes or you were taking it off of your menu.
Yeah, I did it in Colorado when I moved here. I was like, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
But we didn't even know each other because we were on two separate sides of that
Yeah.
like location. So.
Yeah, but we were definitely peeping you, girl.
Yeah.
Like on our side, we were like, who's the new girl? But I was like so impressed with, because obviously I went straight to your page and was like looking up everything you were about. And I was like telling the suite mates or whatever over there on our side. I was like, oh my God, look at how professional her stuff is. And so we were all like, maybe we'll get the opportunity to like pick her brain and like create like cool.
And we never ran into each other.
We didn't.
Until you opened up Babe Cave.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, every once in a while I'd be like, hey, can I borrow something from you or vice versa?
I think I asked you for lash glue once and you brought it over, and that was like the first time that we actually ever talked because I was doing a lash lift and like I ran out of lash glue and I'm like, shit, Ashley.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I remember I was at Peter Piper's because it was at a birthday party and I was like, I need to run this down there because I want to be on good terms with her. So yeah, we like jetted down there. But
oh my God,
thank you for getting us out of that party early.
Dude. Yeah. So yeah, just for some history, Ashley opened up Babe Cave, which I'm excited for you to like share people, about all of this that you're doing. But I texted her and asked her if she had a room for rent, and she said yeah. And then that's when our friendship started. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I freaking love it here. So do you want to tell people about Babe Cave? Like, why did you decide to go storefront, and like what was the vision behind this?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I moved from Washington almost 2 years ago, and I had like all of these like dreams and visions for what I wanted to do at that time. When I found out I was moving to Arizona, I thought, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to basically pursue them because I'm starting all over. So I thought I would get out of lashing entirely. I was going to create a brand. And
I didn't know that you were thinking about getting out of lashing entirely.
Yeah, I mean, really, I thought, okay, so I thought I'll come here, I'll set up, get myself like known, build up some clientele and some, money, the funds to fund my brand I was going to create. And that was the plan. That was the whole game plan when I came here. And I remember like clients and friends back home being like, are you going to open a salon there? And I was like, no, absolutely not. I have no desire to do that. Like, I did not want to manage people. I have never done that before. I didn't want to be like in control.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's never really been me. So I just was like, I'm going to stay away from that area and I'm going to focus on where I can stay behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And that was for me creating a lash brand. And I had followed so many, Lash Invasion, Live Bay, like all of these girls that I watch like make these really cool like empires out of their lash business. And I wanted to be one of them because that's really all they do. Mm-hmm. I mean, not Live Bay, but Lash Invasion and stuff. And I was like, I'll teach and show other people and that's what I'll do. But something changed along the way once I got here. And obviously it went in a different direction.
I feel like it always does too. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
have a game plan for something and then circumstances are like it just yeah, it doesn't always turn out how
No.
you thought it was and that's a good thing. Like that's been a
Mm-hmm.
good thing for you. But
Yeah, and so that's like one of the things like I feel like I've found myself saying to people a lot more lately. Friends who are like pursuing things and are like, but I'm not sure. And I'm always like, just go for it anyways, because it may not be the road that you stay on, but it could lead to the road that you're supposed to be on.
mhm.
So I just kind of feel like obviously it took me where I needed to be. Because what happened was October of 2022, I just was like, screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start this lash brand. I talked about it forever and now I'm going to do it. So I was just sitting on my couch and I, got an LLC and I started looking up how to create a website and all of those things. And so I started the steps. And between October and December of last year, I passed the building that we're in right now multiple times for a year. I would pass it and I looked over and I was like, it's so open with the parking, which is like a thing for people. Like people will avoid spaces that they can't park at. I'm one
Mhm.
of them, so I know I can totally relate. The windows, at the front, like you can see in. The sign that you would put you could see from either side of 92. So it's a very visible location. And I just looked at it, it had a for lease sign forever. And I just was like, that'd be the perfect place to have a business. And then it went from that'd be a perfect place to have a business to have a salon. And I remember the owner of Pamper Me Sweets, like I just remember thinking like how brave she was for like going after that, even though, and I remember thinking like, well, if she could do it, I bet I could do it too. Maybe I'll just do a booth rental. And so I would pass this building and I would be like, that's my salon. That's my salon. And I feel like I genuinely
Yeah.
manifested
No,
it.
I remember this conversation and when you told me that, I was like, "What?" Like, yeah, you drove past here and you were like, "I'm gonna have that slot," and then you did.
Yeah.
Like, I've been talking about manifestation a lot lately, and it's so true. Like, that's proof right there
Hmm.
that practicing that it actually brings things to fruition. So I think that's such a cool story to tell people that like you saw this, you had the vision
Yeah.
and the dream, and then you took like action steps to make it happen.
Yeah. And it was like, I mean, even my kids would be in the car and be like, there's mommy's salon. So it got to the point where like my 4-year old, she would say, there's mommy's salon. And I would pull in on a Sunday when it was completely dead here and I would go look in the windows and
Oh my
stuff and see what it looked
gosh.
like. And
That's so
and
cool.
yeah, so it went from the brand to a brand and a salon. Okay, I think I can take on both. As a
Hmm.
matter of fact, I think it would be better if I took on both because I could use my own products in the salon. So as I started like pursuing like applying for this building and actually seeing how much it was and all of that, I was also looking for vendors and happened to come across a really great vendor at that time. It's really hard to find like vendors if you're creating a product in the United States. And I mean, though it's totally fine to do overseas, um, I felt like for me, because I didn't know how, I wasn't familiar with all of it, it just seemed like if I had to wait on product or whatever to come in. Like the thing was, I just didn't know how often I should be ordering or
Right.
how quick it would go. And, you don't want to order something too late because it could take like a month and a half, 2 months to get
Yeah.
here. So I had found a vendor in the United States that was helping me create the brand. And, um, and so we just started working together. And I came and looked at the building. I had applied for the building. It had went through. They had called me and told me that everything was good and we were going to move forward with plans. So that next step was putting in the flooring and paint because it was looking a little rough in here.
Right.
It was like the walls were like baby blue and then the floor was carpet, but
It
it
was
was like
an optometry. I was an eye doctor before,
yes,
guys.
it was.
Nobody would ever know.
Yeah, no. No, it's actually crazy because it's yeah, I never we didn't live here at that time, so neither one of us saw what this building looked like as that. And I'm like, I try to figure it out, but no.
So did the brand when you started opening up Babe Cave, did your focus shift from the brand just to the
Yeah.
salon?
Yeah. So I got a call on March 16th. I'd been waiting to hear from everything. Like it was just a huge waiting game at this point. I couldn't make any moves until I signed a contract here, so I couldn't like let, Pamper Me Sweets know what was going on, or my clients. I was keeping very hush about it. I wasn't telling anybody what was going on because I didn't want anybody in my head, to discourage me or
I think it's important to keep things close to your chest, like big moves close to your
yeah,
chest for a little bit.
exactly. Exactly. And I had learned the hard way because I had opened up to a couple of people that were kind of like, well, why would you do that? And it really discouraged me and it kind of put like my plans at a halt for a little bit. And then I
Yeah.
was like, just the
It
vision was
messed with your
there.
mojo.
Yeah, it definitely did. So it was March 16th, and I had just finished this program called the 75 Hard, and it's just, the very intense hard program. And so we were going out to celebrate that night that we had accomplished it. And at about 4:30 p.m., I got a call from the property manager, and she was like, "Hey, we got the contract," and she went over all of it with me, and she's like, "So we're ready to sign." I was like, "Oh my god!" So it's St. Patty's Day. Oh no, so it was March 17th. My bad. So it was March 17th. It was St. Patty's Day, and so I had some friends over, and we're like, "All right, let's cheers, let's have a toast." So we have our glasses up. We're literally about to clink, and like, congratulations on the building. And I get another phone call, and it was from the vendor in California saying like, "Hey, everything is done. Your products have been shipped and we've launched your brand."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me." And this is like 4:15.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God." So I was definitely on a high
Mm-hmm.
on St. Patty's Day and a
Yeah.
drunk.
Yeah.
I celebrated a little too hard, but it was well deserved. It was one of those like, I don't like to go hard like that, but it was one of those times where I was like, it felt very important to celebrate. And it was
Yeah.
just, yeah. So the focus went from trying to both, like you're trying to like get the word out there about your brand, you're trying to get the word out there about your business, and both and separate and all the things. So somewhere along the way, I kind of just stopped focusing on the brand, and I've let it go by the wayside, and I'm not upset about it at all. It was an experience that I may like revisit sometime,
Mm-hmm.
but right now Babe Cave like really took over in such a good way that I felt like it deserved all of my time,
Exactly.
attention, and focus.
I
So
agree. I think that was a smart move to make because you can't like I am a strong believer that you can't really excel in one area if you're sharing your energy on other
right.
multiple things. Like you have to focus energy somewhere
Yeah.
to allow it to grow, and like you knew that. So
Well, it's funny because I remember you when you did come to Pamper Me Sweets in the beginning. And we didn't know each other, but I do remember you making a post because I did follow you and saying something about focusing on what you're good at, and it's not always like beneficial to um, do everything just because you can, because you're not going to be
yeah,
successful in all things. And I really remember being like, that like resonated with me, you know what I mean? And I was like, that's so true. Like just because you can do all the things doesn't mean you should do all the things.
right.
So yeah.
Do you have like a I mean, I obviously know you, so I may or may not know the answer to this question, but do you have like what are your do you want to share like one or two of your big goals, like 5-year plan
Mm-hmm.
with Babe Cave? Like where do you want to take it? What do you want to do?
I would love to see multiple locations open up. So I really didn't have a plan when all of this started happening. It was just kind of like jump. And then as you're falling, you're going to figure out how you're going to land. That's kind of how I felt with all of this. So as time has gone on, and we're nearing like the third, where we're ending the third quarter of being open, I am realizing that all along, like I've wanted to help women. That's always been, will help people, but mainly women. When I entered the beauty industry and became an esthetician was when I was going through a divorce to my first husband, and I was becoming a single mom. And I watched women come together and support me because my community at that time knew I was going through that. So, I mean, they would book services with me because they knew I was struggling. And I thought that was really special and sweet. And I was a yes woman. I didn't say no if it was a 10 o'clock appointment or whatever. I would just come in. So I felt like it was important for me to like help other women, I guess, also, kind of through the beauty industry,
Mm-hmm.
like I wanted to always teach women like you should do lashes. Like, oh, you're struggling? Like, let me teach you how to do lashes or go to school or, I feel like I've always been like trying to shove
Yeah.
it down people's throat because it helped me so much.
Right.
So I thought with moving forward with the plans of the Babe Cave and everything, I would love to see like a lot of like mentorship. I would like to see a system where it's like commission employee to booth rental to whatever their next step is,
Yeah.
but just like a community of women under one roof that helps each other, like we have going on here right now, with you and the girls that look up to you. And it's a mentorship
I think
between that,
that's amazing because I honestly think that's one of the most powerful things is a community of supportive women.
Yeah.
And like you said, what you're wanting to do is you're not just wanting to create this business for yourself and make money. You're wanting to set other women up to have a career like in this
Yes.
field. And I think that's kind of like a lot of people are missing the mark on that. Um, and every business doesn't have to be set up that way, of course, but like a lot of bosses in this industry, a lot of owners will be like very protective and not want to see others like go off on their own.
Mhm.
And you're so supportive of facilitating that with women.
Yeah, I think it's really important to know that you're not going to like wrangle these people down to be yours forever.
Yeah.
So once you have that already in your head, then it's kind of like, it's like in the industry we say when one client leaves, two more walk in, and it's kind of like we're not competition. There's definitely enough clients to go around for all of us. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like putting out the good karma and to like help each other grow and learn and be successful is going to pay off tenfold.
Yeah. And like on this topic, we don't have to get super into it, but like you're such a giving person and that's what you want to do. You want to help people and you want to set people up for success. With that being said, some people can take that to an advantage,
Mm-hmm.
of course, like as you've experienced. But so like you've had to learn boundaries
Yeah.
along the way and learn how to actually protect yourself because
Yeah.
some people can come into this with ill intentions, right? Or not like have the same mindset that you do that like, hey, I'm here to help you. I want to see you succeed.
Right.
And like, so I don't know, do you feel like since doing this you've been able to start to create like healthy boundaries in a system to where like the people that come in that you're willing to help or like maybe on the same page or how has been creating boundaries for that?
Yeah. So I'm not good at all. I'm a natural born people pleaser, so that was the fear that kept me from wanting to open my own salon, as I had said earlier, because I didn't want to manage people and be a boss
Mm-hmm.
to people, like boss people around and tell them how to do it. I feel like I'm learning how to not be pushy, but not be a pushover.
Yeah.
And each, I've had a little bit of loss here with exactly what you're talking about, and I feel like each one of those examples has been exactly that. It's been an example. I'm not even upset or mad or stressed out. Well,
Everything's a
stressed
learning
out, yes. Yeah,
experience.
yeah, yeah. Stressed out 100%. Yeah. Actually, it does stress me out. I'm not going to lie about that. But it is a learning experience. It's like right now, I feel like I'm going through a guide
Yeah.
or a lesson book. And right now, I'm going through like these tests and these challenges, and each curveball thrown my way is an opportunity for me to like learn and grow from. And I think from each one, I have grown a little bit more and I've gotten a little bit better. So,
if you want to look at the sunny side of it, like you have to go through it to grow through it,
yes, 100%.
And so in a way, it's been like, okay, thank you for having given me this experience in the
Yes.
first year.
Yes.
So
thank you next.
yeah. So yeah, that's cool.
100%. I mean, it sucks. I would prefer to not go through it, but again, it's like I had said with the expectation of not, the women coming in here and leaving and growing and doing all of that, I would have to be a complete fool to not think that I was not going to go through some sort of like hardships.
Right.
I didn't think I was going to go through it so much in the beginning,
Right.
but I mean, it's okay. Like I said, it's a learning tool. So I'm kind of in a weird way grateful for it, because if I'm learning all of this and getting through like these challenges so early on, then maybe by next year I will be able to see the red flags a little bit sooner, and I will be able to kind of,
And I look up to you in like the self-development because
oh,
like you've that's something that I've been focusing on like for the past year or two, but you have taken it upon yourself to take on like really amazing mentors. And so you have these mentors and stuff and other people not even in the same industry but just like in business that you
mm,
can learn from. And
yeah,
I mean I'm not gonna like generalize people, but I feel like a lot of people don't work as hard to surround themselves in that community and
yeah.
learn from others as you've been doing. So I think that's really cool that you're like constantly like trying to be better at what you're doing and setting
Yeah.
yourself up.
It's definitely like I feel like every day I'm like walking in like uncharted waters. Like I don't know what I'm doing. So as long as I'm surrounding myself with the people and like filling my brain with the people, because I mean, obviously, a lot of them I say are my friends, but I've never met most of them.
They probably think
They're
the same thing about you.
they're my imaginary friends,
No.
but not really. But yeah, I feel like, if I get up in the morning and I do my workout and I listen to a podcast on entrepreneurship, even if it's not in like the beauty industry, I'm learning something new for, I'm multitasking. I'm learning something new that I didn't know before, because yeah, this industry, like entrepreneurship, like it's a bottomless pit. Like
Yeah.
you can't learn it all.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel I have good like areas like most people that I'm all right at, but there's so much that I still need work on. So yeah, I feel like
I
it's
think
good.
that's everybody, dude. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are like these superstars that like are,
Oh
or it
God.
seems like they're amazing at everything, but everybody's not amazing at everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's constant like hard work. And it's cool that you're dedicated to it. So
Yes.
like, um, multiple locations. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, I would love. Well, I didn't know that either. No, actually. Yeah, because like I said, I came in with no plan. And like I said, it was like you're jumping out of a plane and like you're figuring out how you're gonna land. So, um, I had to kind of figure out really quickly what the goal was, because we discovered that I wanted to open a salon out
Mm-hmm.
of nowhere. And then we pursued it, and now we're in the salon. So what's next? The more I thought about it, like creating this like mentorship program and stuff, like I would love to see that everywhere. I don't know if it would be a franchise, just a multiple location or whatever, but I would definitely like to see um, babe caves pop up all over the place, and kind of offer the same thing, maybe more hair and nails too, or whatever. But it would be really cool to see a fully functioning salon with all these things, where there's girls doing commission learning from girls who are doing booth rental, and the booth rental are preparing themselves to like advance to their own thing or stay, either way. And maybe people are just comfortable staying in that. But either way, that there's like this constant, growth, the mentorship, kind of
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with people who are going to lift you up, and,
And of course, that's not something that's like on your radar soon, but it's like a 5 year goal, like a
yeah.
future
Hmm.
plan. And I think it's awesome that you're already thinking about what the future plan is because it allows you to like work towards that direction. And I'm kind of like working on the same thing too. I wrote down 2024 like goals.
Hmm.
Have you written down any like
I
goals
haven't
for the
written
new
down
year?
my goals yet. um I've been thinking about them. I did do it last year. I did it on New Year's Eve last year, and I reached all of the goals. The last
Awesome.
thing that was on there, the one thing that I didn't reach, there was one goal, and it was to do a podcast. but I feel like this kind of counts, even though it's not my podcast.
It's mid-December. You're
like so it's off. Like I can say that I did at least join a podcast. No, I would really like to eventually start a podcast. My husband bought me like all the stuff for it a few years ago. I never even figured out how to even like get it off the ground. But this year was just too crazy. There was so much going on that it was just like I just wasn't
you
sure
didn't need to share your focus with that. But you guys, like, if this podcast will be iconic if you go forward with it, because I know about it, and I'm like, yes, people want to listen to this. This would, like, you're driving your car, you want to listen to it, you're getting ready in the morning, you want to listen to it, and there's nothing else like it that I've heard of. So I think it's a really, really cool idea, and we're not going to say what it is because then someone's going to steal it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you should do it whenever you're allowed to like show your focus with something else. It'll be really cool.
Well, and that's the plan moving forward with this year is I've already taken myself off the books. So I'm hoping that like the clients will start landing more on the other girls. And that'll free up some of my time so that I can do projects like that and I can focus more on like my marketing and stuff. It's a really hard balance between entrepreneurship and family because it's not, that's why I didn't say work, because regular jobs, it's like you can clock out and go home and you can shut everything else off and just be home. Where entrepreneurship, I think we work 24/7.
Yeah. And not just that, you're not just an entrepreneur, you're also a service provider.
Right.
But congratulations to you because you just closed your books off to new clients.
Yes.
So I think that's amazing that you took that step.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know it was really hard because, you know, it's a very it's another unfamiliar, you know, like, well, what happens now? But it's all going to work out. I have to trust the process and it might feel weird. And if it ever, you know, if it comes down to it, I can always reopen them back up. Like that's an option. But for now, I think it's time to take the risk and start working on the other things that need my time and attention.
For sure. And it's so scary to take risks, but like, I think you already know this. Like, you can't get to the next big, like, move. You can't make the next big step without taking a risk.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
And there's risks that I haven't taken in my business because I've been too scared to do it. Like, like niching down. I know the importance of niching down and I've preached about it, but like, I specialize in skincare, acne, and then I still do Brazilian waxing and lash lifting. And I'm like, dude, I'm all over the place a little bit. But that's something that I've been scared to take the risk for.
Yeah. So what would you do? What would you take off?
If I was telling somebody else, if I was directing somebody else, I would tell them to just do like advanced skincare and Brazilian waxing.
Yeah.
But I'm scared to do that because I have so many clients that come in for brows, you know? But like looking at my reports, you know, I make the most money doing Brazilian waxing. So it would only
be like freeing up your time doing these like things that don't really
aren't reaping great.
They're not paying the bills anyways. Yeah.
Right? So maybe that's the thing in 2024 that I'm like, oh, if I bite the bullet, fucking do it. But I've been scared. So maybe I can take a note from your book and like do that.
We can do it together.
But I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be scary.
Yeah, it is. No, it definitely is terrifying. But like the one thing I've learned this last year is like anything that seems like scary, uneasy, uncomfortable, for whatever reason, it's the path you're supposed to be on. Like it's so weird because in life, like I feel like we try to avoid those paths that make us feel that way.
And we already know.
Yeah.
We're just not fucking doing it.
Like, yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely think that's something we could definitely like hold each other accountable on.
Yeah. I'll have to bring it up to you again and you'll have to be like, yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah. Yep. Do it.
Yeah. Okay. So one more thing I wanted to mention, which you've talked about it a few times, but you're going to be on a fucking TV show. So tell us about the TV show and how that happened and like what it's about.
So the show is called The Blox, and it's actually created and hosted by Wes Bergman. If you're not familiar, he was an original like Real World and then became Real World Road Rules. That's a tongue twister for me.
Yeah.
And he's a challenger, so he actually still is in some of the challenges and stuff. He's the big burly, redheaded, big red beard guy. So anyways, he created this show because he's also an entrepreneur, and he has just a bunch of entrepreneurs come on, and it's somewhere between like Shark Tank and Apprentice. So the contestants going on, they're competing for investors. And what had happened was one day I just randomly saw an ad pop up on one of my feeds, and I wasn't doing anything at the time. The ad said something along the lines of, "Are you an entrepreneur? Would you like to be a part of a game show challenge?" And I'm like, "Sure," you know. So I just filled out the application, which was very, what you would expect. Like, what's your name? What's your business? What's your 5-year goal? That was where I had to come up with a 5-year goal because I didn't have one yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is it? And I actually didn't, what I just explained to you was not even what I had written in my 5-year goal for that application.
I mean, you didn't have time to think about it because you were just like,
I think I said like franchise or something like that. But since all of this has gone down, I've had time to think about it. And then at the very end, it was like, what's your story? Which I thought was really like, that was the part for me that I had to rewrite my story. So my journey started almost 10 years ago. I fell in love with beauty because of makeup. I was a makeup artist, and I became an esthetician because I wanted to get, better leads or whatever. I don't know what made me think that, but I pursued it, and here I am now. And the road has been, I literally started from the bottom, like the bottom. So the journey has been really crazy, and it's kind of a wild story, and writing it all out from, because in the moment, and you maybe feel like this too, but like where you're at right now, you keep going, and sometimes you forget where you started, and like all the fails and all the hardships and the trials, and then some of the triumphs, because those are less frequent as the trials are. And you're just like, wow, that's actually really cool.
It was a moment of reflection for you.
It was a total moment of reflection. I spent like 30 minutes writing it out, and I was like, at the very end of it, when I hit submit, like my husband was like, my family was waiting for me to start a movie, and I was like, hold on, I'm almost done. And so when I got done, he was like, what were you doing? And I was like, oh, I was applying for this TV game show, and it was asking my story, and so I was like taking the time to write it out. And he kind of like looked at me like, seriously? And I was like, I know it's stupid, but I was like, Chris, it's my husband, I was like, Chris, I was like, man, my story is actually kind of a touching story.
And it is.
It's, there's been a lot. And I was like, so it felt really good. I was like, I don't think I'll ever hear from them, but I think every once in a while you have to stop and have a reflection moment and remember where you came from, like, and humble up real quick.
Yeah.
Because that's what I needed at that time. So life went on, and I just, out of sight, out of mind, forgot that I'd even applied for that. And then I got like a text message saying that there had been an email sent to me for a follow-up interview for this game show. That night I was like, what? Like, I don't think I'm going to do this. And my husband's like, why not? And I had just got done working late. I did cardio. So I was like sweaty and gross, and they want to do a video interview. And I'm like, because I look like shit. But I was like, and it was saying that it was time sensitive. So that's why I felt like I had to do it that night. So I did it. I totally screwed up. I am very dumb when it comes to technology. So I was hitting the button, and I was like, am I on? Is it recording? And you have 1 minute to answer the question that they're asking you. So I did the process, and then I was like, okay, that's the last I'm probably going to hear from them, because I totally fumbled all over that. But I felt like pretty cool, like that I had gotten that interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty neat, And then a couple weeks go by again, out of sight, out of mind. I get another text. It's like, Ashley, we've been trying to reach you. We feel like you might be a right fit, and we would like to do a more formal interview with you. Does this day and time work for you? And I literally sat on that text all day. I didn't respond. Like, they were
such
waiting.
A big thing.
Yeah, it was. And it was like, is it real? Like, I don't know. It was such a weird feeling. I was like flattered, and also like a little sick to my stomach, because I was like, if this is real, and what if I go on a show?
Yeah, this is a commitment.
Yeah. So my husband once again pushed me, and he was like, I think you need to do it. And so I did. I set up the interview, and I wasn't even thinking that it was coincidentally him and I, my husband and I, were flying out to Salt Lake City, Utah, that weekend to go to a business conference. So I'm a huge like nerd for these entrepreneurs. And there was like, I was in a room with like 28 of like the best, in my opinion, my favorite people to listen to, from Jim Quick to Jen Gottlieb, Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. Oh my God, just so many great names. And I was listening to them just nourish my brain. And I felt so comfortable the next day doing this interview, because I felt like I had tapped into like some of their like beast mode mentality. So when I got on the phone conference with her name was Gabriella, and I just was like,
you're so confident.
Yeah. Like I felt like I had a piece of like each one of them in me that was like, yep, I already have this. And I was actually talking to her. Like I was saying things like, so when I come on the show, and she was responding to them like, when you come on the show. Like it was almost like I already knew I had it. So it just was such a cool feeling. I felt very confident. And then the next day came, because I was going to hear from them either way the next day. My God, I'm telling you, it was like the longest day ever. I just was like waiting for that damn email, and it wasn't coming. It was like 4:30 in the afternoon, and I just like checked out a client, and the girls were in here working, both of them. And I looked down at my email and was like, congratulations, you've been selected for our final casting for the Blox. And here's the contract, we're going to have you fill it out. And I was like, right. So the girls were like, what the hell is going on? Again, I never told anybody what was going on. So they were like, what's going on? Yeah. So it was pretty exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's going to be on Amazon Prime, by the way, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys have to watch it. It's going to be cool to see you on there.
Yeah. There is previous episodes. It's on an app called the Beta Blox. It's just a free app, so you can watch the previous seasons from early on, because I think there's like 9 seasons. So
cool.
If you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, I highly recommend listening to it, because you learn something every single episode. I mean, it's a show on entrepreneurship, so like you're learning a lesson every single episode. So since I've been watching it, I feel like I've learned quite a bit too.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. And yeah, I'm happy for you and where you're going in the new year.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, bye guys.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. You can follow me on social media at Elevated Beauty Aesthetics, or on my esthetician shop, which is Shop Cryptic Skin. That is where I sell esthetician themed apparel that is supernatural in nature and kind of kitschy designs for the modern esthetician. So as always, I will see you guys next Monday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for another episode.